In today's tutorial, we are going to take a closer look at the project management tool Asana, and I'm actually going to go over all of the crucial features so that by the end of this video you will actually know how to use Asana for yourself or for your company. Now, to get started, you will have to head over to asana.com. I will leave you a link for this down below. And then you will just have to click on Get Started right here. Now, you can then either sign up using your Google Work account, or you can just sign up using your company's email account. Now, as for this video, I myself will just go with a temp mail right here, so that you will actually just get an overview on how it's going to work on your first use case. Now, to get started, you will just have to verify your email. First of all, you will just have to complete your profile, so you will have to put in your full name as well as a password. And then you will just have to click on continue right here. You can then choose your primary role in your company, so either just use manager, executive, director, and so on, or if you aren't if this isn't any of your roles, then you can just click on other, and you can basically also skip that question if you want to. You will then have to select what kind of work you're going to do. So I will just select project or project management. However, once again, you can also skip this. Now, the main objective in Asana is going to be project and process management as for me. However, they do actually also offer personal task management and portfolio and workload management. However, basically, as for this video, I will just select project and process management, and if you're going to basically watch this tutorial, you can apply the same things for all of the other features right here. So I will just click on continue, and then we can actually get started setting up our first project. Now, as for this video, I will just create a project for a video production company. So I will just name this video production right here, and then we can get started putting in our first task. However, I would actually recommend you to just skip these right here, all of these things basically, because we're going to go over them way in depth later on. So just skip this and actually just delete the project that you've just made. I'm sorry. Because if you're going to stick with the normal project, as you can see right here, there are already a lot of things done by default, which we generally don't want. We want the full control over our project. So just delete your first project and then click on new project right here on the left. Then you can just either just go with a blank project. You can also import a spreadsheet, or you can use one of Asana's templates. Now, they do offer quite a lot of great templates which you can all use. So for example, if you are going to look for an IT template, they have quite a lot for these: stand-up meeting, bug tracking, engineering. They also have HR, marketing, sales, and so on. So really, I would just recommend you to go over all of the templates right here. And if you find a template that you like, then you can just use that for your own sake. However, as for this video, I will just go with a blank project so that we can actually go over all of the settings from scratch. Now, as for the project name, I will actually name this video production. And then we will have to select a team. Now, as for this video, we will only have set up this alias first team. And then as for the privacy, we can also set this to private to project members if we want to. Now, the default view can be changed. So basically, you can either just select list, which is already selected by default, or the board view, which is similar to tools like Trello or Notion, for example, as well as timeline and calendar. Now, as for this video, I will just select list as the default. However, you can then later on also interchange between all of these views. So basically, it doesn't really matter which one you're going to choose. What do you want to do first? So basically, I will just start adding my own tasks right here. Now, as you can see, this is how the view now is going to look like. So to get started, we can first of all add our sections. So for example, I will just name this to do. Then I will name the next one in progress. And then the last one obviously would be done. So now we will have our sections, and inside these sections we can then add different kind of tasks. So let's for example say that we want to create a video for, let's say, like for a fitness studio, okay? In this case, as you can see right here, we can first of all by default add an assignee to this task. So as you can see, For me, this is just going to be myself right here. However, if you have multiple team members inside Asana, you can actually also select them. So for example, you can just assign Sam to this, and then Sam is going to see this to-do task, in his own Asana dashboard, and will then have to work and will then have to basically complete this to-do task. However, I will just select myself right here, and then we can also select a due date. So let's, for example, say that this is going to be due the end of the week, so I will just select Friday right here. Now, as for the other fields, for example, we can also add a new field right here. We can set a field type, so basically we can set single select. For example, we can set the priority, and then priority would be low, medium, and then high. And then once we've added this field right here, we can then set a priority for this to do. So let's, for example, say that this is going to be medium. We can then also add a new field right here. So basically you can just also select the effort level, which already got done by default. So you can select, let's say this is going to be high effort, and then you can also create new fields right here. So for example, if you want to add a percentage, currency, formula, or just a number, then you can also do that. For example, you can add currency right here to basically say cost, and then we can set the format. We can basically choose any of these currencies, and then we can create a new field, and now we can put in how much this video is going to cost right here. If we are now going to create a new task, which is going to say video for a construction company. Now I'm just making this up right now, so basically, obviously you would just have to add the task depending on what kind of company you have or on what kind of task you want to complete. Now once again, we would have to go over the same procedure, and we would have to assign a priority as well as an effort level. And then we can once again put in the amount of cost that this video is going to cost basically. So let's say for this is going to be 750 euros. And as you can see, now we will also get a sum right here of the overall cost. However, we're still not done. If we're now going to open up the task right here, we can see that we can first of all add some more dependencies. So for example, we can say, okay, this is blocked by the video for construction company, which is basically just going to block that. We can also just schedule a kickoff meeting, share the timeline with teammates, and so on. As for the description, we can also just add that right here, and we can also add different kind of substacks. So as for this, we could, for example, say create a script, and then we can create a storyboard, film the video, and so on. Now, this you can also add a comment to this right here, and then other team members of yours are going to see this comment right here, which can also be useful. Now Asana recently also added some AI features, which I really like, and to access these AI features you can use the three dots right here, and then you can basically based on Asana intelligence right here, which is AI, you can then summarize this task, or you can also create subtasks right here. And we could now then change this to in progress. And we can actually also automate this whole process so that by default, if something is going to be ticked, this is going to be redirected to the in progress tab right here. However, we're going to go in depth later on. Now, as for the board view, this is basically once again similar to things like Trello and so on. You can just change these in between, and if we are, for example, now are going to go back to the list view, this is automatically going to be synced up essentially. So I will just change this to back in progress, and now we will also see the timeline view right here, which I really like. So as you can see, we can basically see the due date. The due date is going to be the 13th, the Friday basically. And we can actually also drag this around so that this is actually rescheduled. So as you can see, if we are now going to go to the list, we can see that this is from today until the 13th basically. Now, if we're now going to go to calendar, we can see that this is just a plain calendar view. However, one thing which I would like to mention is that you can actually sync up your Asana calendar to Google Calendar, which is super useful in my opinion. So if you want to do that, you will have that option. And now we can continue by creating our own workflows, or also called automations basically. So as you can see on the right, we will basically have all sorts of different options. So for example, we are going to see our fields right here, and we can then set up different kind of rules. Now this basically just works that like if statements, but basically way more simpler. So as you can see, we can just create our new rule. So basically we will have tons of different templates right here. So for example, we can just say that if the task is added to the project, we can then move the task to a certain section and so on. Now, these templates are super self-explanatory. However, let me actually show you how to create a custom rule. So to do that, just click on create custom rule right here, and then we can add a name to this rule. So I will just name this to automatically set priority. And then we can add the trigger. Now, the trigger as for this is going to be if a task is added to this project, and then we are going to select the source, which is going to be all tasks. And now we are going to actually add an action depending on the trigger right here. Now, for me, this action is going to be to actually change the priority level, to medium, so that by default all of the tasks that I'm going to add is going to have the priority level medium. Now, so for example, if we're now going to add a video production for, I don't know, XYZ, basically then we can see that the priority is by default set to medium. Now, obviously, you could just continue this process and you can obviously make way more complex workflows, which is super useful. However, I just wanted you to know how to set up these rules customly. Now, Asana will actually also allow you to integrate with quite a lot of apps. So as you can see, first of all, they do have a Slack integration, which I really like. And as I've already mentioned, you will also get Google Calendar and tons of other great integrations and great apps that you can use using Asana. So this is definitely something which I will have to highlight because I really like this. They do offer tons of great integrations, which not a lot of other project management tools have. Now, as for the forms, you can actually also create forms so that then other people can actually submit new tasks to your project or also just yourself. So for example, we can add a new single select from the right here, and then we can ask what is the priority level. And now we can actually connect this to our field priority right here. So as you can see, now by default, they're going to have these three options right here: low, medium, high. And you could now then also add all sorts of other form content, for example, multi-select. Now for multi-select, they could obviously then just basically select multiple things, which doesn't really make sense as for me. However, just make sure to always link everything accordingly. So as for example, as for name, this isn't connected to anything. So this is going to be a little bit messy if you're going to still accept a name or an email address right here. However, as for this video, I will just click on done, and then we can actually also set up task templates. So as you can see, if I'm going to click on task template right here, we can first of all set a template name. So let's name this video production 4. And then right here, we could then basically put in the company's name, or also could just name the video and what it's about. Now, as for the assignee, we could say that by default, this is going to be myself right here. And this is also going to be in the project video production right here. Alright, perfect. We could then also add some new dependencies. So once again, we can add some blocking or blocked by, and we can also by default select all of the priorities, all of the effort level and the cost. So let's for example say that by default, a video is going to cost 500 euros. Then we can also set that by default, which is on the long term is going to save quite a lot of time. So once you're done with this, we can also add a subscription and add subtasks, but I think by now you will get the hang of it. Once you're done with this, you can just click on done on the bottom right here. Alright, perfect. And now, I'm sorry, I've actually zoomed out, I don't know why. And now we can actually get started creating our workflows right here. So for example, we can get started by how are tasks being added to this project. So either we can just manually add them, we can also use the forms which we've just created, or we can also just use a test template right here. We can then create a new intake source right here. Now this workflow is basically just to organize all of the processes and to save you some time. And basically this is also super good for onboarding processes for new team members, because by this they actually know how everything is going to work, and it is going to be way quicker over time. Now you can then also set this section. So basically when tasks move to this section, what should happen automatically. For example, you can just set an assignee. So basically where we can then set the assignee to Elias Krause and so on. Alright, perfect. And now you would just have to continue this process by adding new actions right here and then by basically automating everything. Now, by the way, if you find this video helpful and if you're interested in email marketing, CRM, and basically just project management in general, make sure to like and subscribe so that you will actually get more videos like this one. Now we can then also see the dashboard view right here, where we can basically see all of the stats of our website. We can also add new stats by simply just clicking on add chart right here, and we can then choose any of these charts. So if we, for example, would want to add a donut chart, we could do that. We can then basically select the kind of group, basically just the numbers that we want to display. So for example, we can select the task status, and then we are going to see a donut chart of how much different kind of task status we will actually have. And if we're now going to add this, we can just drag this around. So let's say that we want to have this on top right here. Alright, perfect. And if we would now want to go to messages right here, we can then send messages to our different kind of team members, which is also super useful. Now basically one feature that Asana lacks in is the live chat. However, I think this send messages to team members actually also works pretty good in my opinion. Now you can then also upload all of your files right here, and you can actually also go to the insights on the left to see a general overview of your whole Asana account basically. So if you're going to click on get started right here, this is basically going to be similar to the dashboard function. However, this is going to be for all of your projects. So basically, if you're going to have multiple projects, you're going to see the stats for all of your projects right here. Now, as for the portfolios, you can actually also just set up simple portfolios using Asana. Now this is quickly going to load up. And as you can see, now we can see the video production, and now this is going to be a general overview of what is inside this video production thing right here. And basically we can also view this and so on. You can also create goals with Asana, which is actually super useful. So please listen carefully right now. Now, for example, you can just add a new goal, which is going to be a blank goal. And as for the goal title, this is going to be create all videos, okay? And then for the members, we can basically just add all of our members once again. We can also set the time period and so on. Now we will set how we are going to measure our goals basically. So basically I'm going to select automatic, and then as for the progress source, I'm going to select projects right here, and I'm going to select tasks complete. So if we're now going to save this goal, we will have to first of all connect this to our project right here. And now if we would take any of these tasks as complete right here, we can see that the goal section is going to be updated depending on the progress. Now, if you have any more questions, as always, you can leave them in the comments down below, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe.